So I wanted to make a bit more of a detailed video about CCI. I made a short which just kind of summed up that CCI stands for Craniocervical Instability, and that is the instability of the vertebra in the neck and the ligaments, around the skull that kind of support the weight of the skull. So you have partial instability with this, which causes all kinds of problems. So again, it's a complication that develops in a fraction of people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, including myself. And that's why I'm talking about it, because I'm hoping to help increase awareness. It is quite a problem amongst the community of Ehlers-Danlos patients. And there are people that have suffered immensely, including myself, because it's invisible. Like, you can't see a problem like this. You just, you can't see an unstable neck. I mean, you can maybe observe after a while when someone has lost strength. You can see that they're weak and, with difficulty sitting up, or might have limits with turning their head. But it's something that is very, very insidious, and it's very painful. So people often suffer feeling isolated and suffer in silence with this problem. And they are very isolated because we have difficulty being able to be upright for long periods of time. Every time that we're upright, like the longer we're upright, the more pain we're going to be in. Collars can help reduce that. I have a few different kinds of neck collars. I have sort of a soft collar that is more firm and more supportive than this a little bit. But it's okay. It's sort of moderate support. I make these, and they are just light support, unfortunately, but they look fashionable and I really like them. I'm looking into getting some made professionally, because I just kind of slap them together. I cut some belt fabric and stick some Velcro onto it. I'm not a sewer or anything, but I'm thinking of taking some material in and getting several made, because layering them helps, putting 2 or 3 on so that the support is a bit thicker. It still looks kind of cool. Not that I'm only concerned about looks. I mean, when I'm in my chair, in my power chair, going long distances, I wear the firm, the firm, thick collar. I have an actual Vista collar. It's right here. This is the the full-on support. It actually hurts my jaw a lot. Like, I have really bad TMJ in my jaw. Like, I grind. I'm a grinder, so like not as much anymore. I don't have well, long story, but I used to be a really bad Brexer. I'm not as much anymore because I had my bite adjusted when I had my partials made for most of my molars. But yeah, like, I have really bad TMJ, and have my collarbone. I have a port, so I have like a line here in my collarbone, and it goes down, so it kind of digs into that a bit. So that's kind of annoying. So it's a bit annoying, but sleeping in it's okay. Being upright in it, it digs in more, when I'm standing, so it's a bit more annoying. But sleeping in it is okay, because I turn in my sleep sometimes, and it's not safe for me to turn. I have my C1, C2 is unstable, and that's your atlantoaxial joint there. So I have atlantoaxial instability diagnosed. I went to the States for that. It was diagnosed by an MRI, an upright MRI, and a rotational CT, where I was turning my head as much as I could while it was, measuring and showing the image, which showed that I do have atlantoaxial instability, particularly on the left side, apparently. So yeah, that's not good. So CCI is not only very painful, it can cause brainstem compression, like I said, which causes dizziness and circulatory problems, problems with circulation, which leads into dysautonomia, autonomic nervous system dysfunction, neuropathy, nerve problems, and it can be fatal. It's not fatal often, but it can be, or it kind of eventually can be, because also people get tired of such a poor quality of life that a fair few people who have had CCI unfortunately do medically assisted death, or have done. I know of some people, but I can't say any names or anything. I have come forward saying that I considered it before I changed my pain medicine. It's still a consideration. It's not that I'm not considering anymore, not considering it right now, but it's still an option. It's still an option for me, because sometimes with Ehlers-Danlos, it you know complications and effects might not be fatal, but the suffering is so bad that the quality of life is so poor that the person just doesn't want to continue on. And a lot of that's to do with lack of treatment. So getting to lack of treatment, there's a huge lack of treatment issue with CCI. There are only a few surgeons in the world who are trained, specially trained to perform surgery on Ehlers-Danlos patients with CCI. And it's a very particular technique, and all the Canadian neurosurgeons so far have shied away from learning about it and being willing to do this. So Ehlers-Danlos patients wait a long time to see a neurosurgeon and then just end up getting turned down. That happened to me. I waited 2 years for the first consult, and he just turned me down. Can't help you. Didn't even want to see me. I cried for like 2 days because I'd been waiting 2 years. I cried, well, 2 days, 2 years. I don't know how long. I cried for a long time. A day or two or three, I was very depressed and weepy about it. I was pretty brokenhearted because I was told the guy was pretty good and that he could help me. I'm now seeing somebody else in October. I don't really know if he can help me himself, but I do know that he sympathizes with the issue and that he might be able to at least help fill out an out-of-country care funding form, which again may or may not be accepted, because in the past Ehlers-Danlos patients have been often turned down, which is something that is not right. Like, it's messed up, and it's just not okay, because it is potentially fatal, and it's causes such a poor quality of life. And people with CCI are usually pretty young, in their 20s and 30s, and have a lot of life ahead of them if they could just get the problem properly repaired and be able to move on. That does not cure Ehlers-Danlos if you get the problem, if you get, a fusion, like a cervical fusion, but it lessens the severity of the pain a lot and brings back a lot of quality of life. You may still have to deal with Ehlers-Danlos, but you won't be totally held hostage by this ridiculous problem with the neck. So I can't turn my head more than about this much. If I turn my head more than that, I risk having a stroke or a vertebral artery compression, which could potentially kill me. So I just don't do it. I've taught myself not to do it. I'm very conditioned not to turn my head, even when I have no collar on at all, which around the house sometimes I don't. I know I should have a collar most of the time, but it's in the middle of August. It's really, really sweltering hot right now, and it's kind of tough to always be having a collar on. So I don't have a collar on when I'm in bed like this. Usually I'm just wearing it right now because I'm kind of, I'm sharing about the problem, so I'm showing it. And I was just upright in the kitchen a little while ago, so I had it on. I had it on when I was out today. I actually went out for a little bit today, which is unusual. But it was fun. I went out with a friend for a bit, and we got a ride there and back. She also is chronically ill and doesn't get out much either, so it was really nice for both of us to go out and have a nice coffee and ice cream and stuff like that for a bit. But anyway, back to the CCI thing. The quality of life is just, for someone my age, it's really low and really limited. And I'm sick of it, It's better than it was now that I'm on a bit of a stronger painkiller, but I'm not gonna, if it gets worse than this and then stays that way, that's when I'm not gonna be wanting to continue on. So I'm really hoping to get treatment for this and for it to be successful. That's really my only way to having a future. Like, I can't just, live on with this untreated for very long. If I don't get treatment for this, I won't live very long. And it's not just it's not just me. Other people feel the same way as me. Other people that suffer from this, that have dealt with this. Most people have been able, that I know, have been able to get a fusion somehow. Either they fundraised for it, or their families were able to finance it. But I don't have that option in my family. My family doesn't have that kind of money. It's a long story. I was born into some money, but we lost it, or they lost it, not me. I mean, I was a child, but yeah, and then life was hard after that. So I'm not in any position. My husband, we're not, like, we're separated, but we're still really good friends. We still do love each other. He works part-time, and he's saving some to try and get me to see if we can get the surgery in Poland, because the surgeon in Poland is willing to fuse the worst of them, the C1, C2, the atlantoaxial. And doing that might help me significantly be able to kind of rehabilitate and regain some functioning. So, I'm kind of like leaving it up to the universe right now in that way. We're slowly saving. We've got some from the GoFundMe that I did. It's still up, but it has slowed down. It's kind of gotten into a standstill, but I'm super grateful for the people that, donated and cared about the situation. I'm going to keep, trying to press on with my life as I can. I will keep speaking out, getting mostly support, getting a little bit of hate, which I think is pretty disgusting, because, how could you hate somebody who's trying to, rise above such a ridiculously awful situation and trying to speak out and educate for awareness, who's been through what I have. Like, I mean, it's just not fair. I think I'm getting basically discriminated against, and I think I know why, but it's still not fair because I'm a human being. And yeah, I'm a human being, and I'm genuinely suffering. And what more can I say about it? It's ridiculous, but I am getting pretty tired, and I just wanted to share a bit more about CCI. It is dangerous. It is painful. You know, it there are different forms of it. Like, some people have brainstem herniation. That's called a Chiari. That's not a CCI. That's a Chiari malformation. It's another related neurospinal complication that can happen with Ehlers-Danlos patients. It's very dangerous, and it it does sometimes get treated in Canada, that one, but not super often, and it's kind of a gray area. It's very dangerous, though. It can cut off your breathing. When your brainstem is herniated, it can really mess up your central nervous system there, and can cause sleep apnea. So can CCI if your brainstem is inflamed enough. That's why I sleep in a collar. So, falling the wrong way, turning the wrong way in your sleep, even just sometimes just sudden death, can happen with this problem. I've been told that I could have a sudden death, and, it scares me and it upsets me, but I try not to think about it. I try and take each day as it comes. I do also battle depression because I do want to be moving forward with my life. That's an understatement. I battle intense grief over this, and that's why I just think it's so ugly that there's some haters out there that are, literally, like, hitting dislike on all my videos. It's like, come at me, man. I took off the comment filter because I don't care anymore. If people want to say nasty things, go right ahead. Tell me what you think. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing other than to defend, because I haven't done anything. I'm here battling this crap, and yeah, CCI sucks. It's a horrible condition, and people are not understanding of people that are suffering from it. One of the reasons why people are, being suicidal or, considering medically assisted death is because of the lack of support around them. People, this is an invisible problem. People don't understand how painful it is. People don't understand, they think people are being lazy. A lot of people are going through not getting a proper diagnosis for a very long time. I, my husband and I fundraised and saved to get me to the USA to get a proper diagnosis of this because there are no diagnostic facilities in Canada. Um, that's because there's no proper treatments here right now. There was a neurosurgeon back in 2016 trained to do this via the Ehlers-Danlos Clinic, the one Ehlers-Danlos Clinic that the ILC Foundation, their nonprofit that advocates for EDS. They worked hard to open it. They worked hard to recruit this guy, and then he killed his wife and went to jail. So that was completely unexpected and obviously devastating. He was a very good surgeon, but he obviously had issues. We haven't been able to get someone else since then, and then the pandemic hit and it complicated it. So we still do not have a neurosurgeon here in Canada, and people like me are still waiting, hanging in the balance, living like this. And again, some people have passed away either suddenly, or there were a couple people that passed away from substance misuse because they were depressed. One girl drank too much accidentally because she was depressed about this pain. I mean, this pain is severe. No wonder she battled addiction. Like I am opioid dependent. uh, I wouldn't say, I mean, yes, I'm addicted to them because I'm dependent on them, and if I were to stop, I'd withdraw. I don't want to be opioid dependent, but I have to be, I feel. I don't know how else I could cope with this kind of pain. It's really terrible. So, yeah, there's not much else to say. It sucks living like this, and I hope, just take one day at a time. I want to be here. I don't want to be here like this, but I hold on to hope that it might get better somehow, and that's what I hope for every day. And while I take the time that I have while I'm here to try and talk about it and spread awareness, share my story regardless of some of the hate that comes about.